Right now, we have a panel discussion, partnerships that build thriving school communities. That's led by Rahul Bhanot. We have other few panelists as well, so I'm going to introduce all of them right now. We have Pragati Chaswal, so she's armed with the experience of teaching or learning with children at Mirambega Free Progress School and organic farming knowledge from IGNOR. So she ventured forth and founded So Good in 2017, a learning farm for children by children. So Good is a farm-based open classroom program where teachers or parents and children learn together in nature. We also have Suraj Sudhakar. So his career has been predominantly been in operation roles at a variety of social sector organizations in India and Kenya. So he spent last 4 years building Cool Coach, a social enterprise with the goal of tackling the menace of non-communicable diseases among underserved communities by bringing the benefits of fitness training to them. And we have Rahul Bhanot. He is the co-founder and COO of Simple Education Foundation, where he gives strategic direction to the program team and overlooks the implementation of Simple School and Pachala programs. He also has an MBA from University of Nottingham and has worked with several multinational companies before making a foray into education with the Teach for India Fellowship. Welcome everyone to this panel discussion. Now over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our panel discussion. And for the next 30 minutes or so, our panelists today will be sharing on the topic of how partnerships build thriving school communities. So as a program head at SEF, one of my and my organization's philosophy has been that children in our schools should have various ways to learn, be it knowledge or a skill. And there should be multiple ways in which children should be able to express their learning as well. And it is very difficult to do this all on our own because it requires expertise, resources, among many things. Now, one of many ways we do this in our schools is to bring in partners who work with us very closely in achieving all of this. And to discuss more on this, we have two panelists who have developed their own programs and have partnered with schools in Delhi, Pune, Hyderabad, and have built thriving school communities. We have Pragati, founder of So Good, and she brings farming programs in schools. And we have Suraj, founder of Cool Coach, an initiative that aims to tackle challenges of health and unemployment with his own unique solutions. So thank you so much for being here today, all of you. I would first invite Pragati to briefly share what does So Good do and how do they go about partnering with a school? And what are some of the non-negotiables and things that you keep in mind before you partner with a school?
Sure. Thank you so much, Rahul. Hi, Suraj. To give a brief intro about So Good, like you said, you use the term community. That's the term that we use very often to describe ourselves. So Good is a community of like-minded people who we believe that, it's very important for us to stay connected with nature, despite whatever lifestyle we have today. And more than that, community of people who believe that it's extremely important for children to stay connected with nature. Most of the children these days really do not know that the chips that they are eating, it doesn't come out of packet just like that. It comes from potato, which is grown. And if they want, they can also grow it themselves. So this is the vision with which we started So Good in 2017. It actually started as a pilot to see, because children and farming as a concept was not heard of too much. So it started as a pilot in a very small space. And I would say that people really appreciated the fact that children should stay connected with nature. So with that pilot, that small experiment that we were doing, we later decided to create a curriculum and take the program to various schools in Delhi, government as well as private schools. So what we do in each school is we create a small farm. We create a composting unit inside each school. And all of this is done along with teachers, principal of the school, and students. So this farm that we create, it actually becomes like an open classroom for children. So here children are learning about environment, they are learning about food, they are getting connected to the food. Along with that, we are also integrating their classroom curriculum. So things that they are learning in this classroom, be it sciences, maths, even languages, all of that gets integrated at the farm. So when they are doing farming, they are sowing seeds, they are also understanding about number of seeds they are growing, multiplication, etc. So that's the program we have. It's a 2-year long program. So when we partner with the school, for us, the most important thing is buy-in from the principal and the teachers. Keeping in mind the fact that we will be there with the school for a period of 2 to 3 years, we want the school, the entire school community to be a part of this program, and they should be able to take the program forward when we are not there. So it becomes a program for children, a training ground for teachers to learn the program and take it forward from there. So one of the things that we keep in mind when we go to a school is, one, we are coming to the school with a program, a learning program for children. We are not coming for beautification of the school. So we will not be taking care of extra plants, etc. So the principal and teachers become a part of the program. The other criteria that we do look for in a school is some contribution from the school side, so that it becomes the school's program. So if we have to buy seeds, manure, etc., how can we all come together to work on the program instead of just So Good coming with a program and implementing it inside the school? So in a nutshell, that's what we are doing with schools. And when we partner with schools, these are the things that we look at.
Thank you. Before we move to Suraj, I just have a question. So you said like you are in a school for a certain period of time, and then the principal, the management of the school takes over the program. So I just wanted to understand like how easy is for them to get those skills themselves that they can take the program forward when So Good stops working.
Sure, that's a very, very valid point, Rahul, because again, because we are in an urban setting, most of the people have no clue about how a vegetable, even a plant is grown. So the program is actually a 2 + 1 year program. In 2 years, we work along with teachers. And if you see, each school has a guard or a staff who they come from villages, and they have a fairly good idea about how vegetables are grown. So when we go to a school, we involve them as well. So it becomes like again, a community where a guard, a teacher, children, principal, everybody is coming together to develop something, to learn something together. So the guard bhaiya of the school actually helps the teachers understand the process. And this 2 year, when we are working with teachers and children, we create a manual. There is a curriculum that we leave with the teachers after the end of 2 years, which they follow. The curriculum has the complete farming process, what is grown. So they can follow that, and with the guidance of their guard bhaiya. And the last 1 year is actually hand-holding, where we handhold and they take over. The teachers take over, and that's how it's done. And wherever senior children are involved, for example, if we start working with grade 6, so we work with grade 6 for a period of 2 years, 6th and 7th. 8th onwards, a group of these children become leaders. So they start taking classes for other students of the school. So it becomes like an eco club. In a primary school, the teachers take over, and in a senior school, teachers along with a group of children, they don't take over the program. That's how it's done.
Thank you. Over to you, Suraj. Would like to understand more about Cool Coach and what is it all about, and also like how do you look at partnership within schools?
Sure. Thanks so much, Rahul. So as you guys mentioned, Cool Coach was set up to battle this menace of non-communicable diseases, which is a major health challenge that faces our country. But the good news is that you can significantly reduce the risk of NCDs by doing two things. Very simple, increase the amount of activity and pay attention to what you eat, your nutrition. They're simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy. So the place where we wanted to start with was many of our schools, especially schools that serve many underserved communities in our nation. The simple reason being, when we did our initial research, we found that physical education or physical training, PT periods, have kind of vanished out of the school timetable, which was very shocking to me. I went to a Kendriya Vidyalaya, even though, we didn't have any structured PE class, but we did have a PT period. We did have a ground. We ran around for at least 35 minutes in a day and, in between lunch breaks. So our whole aim was, how do we get to these schools and increase the amount of activity for all children? So that's the benefit of fitness training that we want to bring. Now, as soon as you want to do this at a school level, the question becomes, who is going to implement the program? And that's the other part of our solution, which we think is very unique. I have known this based on kind of my own experience studying in the KV that I went through, and in the past years, many of the sports people or the sports stars of the school, who do exceptionally well from a sports point of view. They play at the state level, the district level, national level. Very often don't end up having careers in what they excelled at. To just give you a stark example, most of us, very average at an academic level, still make it to engineering and get jobs at, the Cognizants and the Wipros. And I'm just speaking about myself here too. But you're a state level player or a national level player, and it's not unheard of that these players end up in poverty very often. And especially if these youth come from a low income family, they don't have a career opportunity. So the idea was, hey, can we take these youth, create a program very similar to the Teach for India Fellowship, where we train them and place them at a school as a fitness instructor. So that's the overall program. Find youth who are sports people, who have excelled, who don't have a career path in front of them, train them, place them in a school for a period of 1 year as a fitness teacher. Post this, we help them build their career in the kind of growing fitness and sports coaching industry in India. Now, with that model in mind, when we go into a school, the kind of non-negotiables that we have from a partnership perspective. So first is the mindset. Again, this is very similar to what Pragati mentioned. The mindset of the school leader, the school, the teachers, where they also need to believe that health and fitness is as important as other academic subjects, which from an operational level directly translates to, you might think all of this is important, but if you don't have a PT period during the day for a child, it's kind of meaningless. And our non-negotiable is at least 3 PT periods in a week. Now CBSE has come out with directives, and many state boards have also said that every child should have a PT period every day. We understand with all that's going on in a school, it's difficult, but our hope is to work with these schools to get to 1 PT period every child, every day. So that's one part of it. The second part, what we have learned is, we are just 4 years young. There are lots of moving pieces from an implementation perspective. In our first years, we were like, any school that's willing, we were happy to partner. Now, from a physical infrastructure point of view, we've realized that they need a small ground where at least a class size of 35 to 40 children have place to stand, have place to move around. So we don't need a football field, we don't need a cricket stadium, but a small ground where we can take a class. We work in 2 cities, Pune and Kozhikode, both have monsoons. So we also prefer either a classroom or a community hall where we can take classes during the rains. So you give us a PT period, give us space, our fellows will take the PE class with less infrastructure. We have a couple of more conditions, but this is more from the perspective of the youth we work with. As I said, many of these youth have done well in sports. And in the Indian schooling system, unfortunately, we look down upon people who achieve anything in the physical space, right? Academically, you achieve something, you're great. We want to make sure that while our fellows are placed in a school, they are not treated differently. They are a teaching resource. So we expect them to have place in the staff room. We expect them to kind of be involved in all teacher meetings so that the fellows' confidence is built. And what we have found through conversations and earlier experiences, and which is a non-negotiable for us, is, hey, our fellows should not be asked to do anything that a principal won't ask any other teacher to do. So kind of don't relegate this young fitness teacher of yours to do stuff that you won't ask your physics or your science or your social studies teacher to do. With these, we are more than set in any school.
Yeah, like that has been our experience as well, like working in government schools, like when a partner comes in school and says, okay, we have this program and we want to implement this in your school. And initially it's welcomed, like teachers and principals, they're more than happy to have this partner. So also like wanted to understand from both of you, like have there been instances where again the initial you have been welcomed in a school and then but the things have not gone, that things have gone south, and what were the reasons, and like when we are again partnering, how, what are the things again to look at it, and what are the things that could break down a partnership as well? So if you can just share a few stories if you have around that.
That's very, very interesting. And without naming the schools, I guess. So there have been cases, you see, because we do farming. So farming is always equivalent to you will have money, you will have manure, you will have all the resources to beautify our schools. So there was this case when in the beginning, the relationship was very healthy. And this was also very initial years for us as an organization to be partnering with schools. So we went to that school for about 6 months. Everything went on very well. Everybody was very happy, involved, etc. But suddenly there was this desire. A minister has to come. So why don't you, clean up the entire school, make sure there are plants in the school, there are flowers in the schools. So that's when we realized how important it is for us to put these conditions right in the beginning. That we are coming as partners to you. We are not coming as somebody who will bring all free gifts, etc. And just because there is a minister coming, like Suraj was saying, if there is, like, treat our people, our fellows, as your own teachers, as your partners, instead of somebody who's coming to, bring gifts for you, etc. So thereon we made like a agreement. So in the beginning, there was no such agreement. We would go like Simple Education Foundation is one of our partners. So the deal is that wherever SKF goes, So Good will also partner. But slowly we realized that, it's important for the school to have a buy-in. Sure, our friends at SEF are all gung-ho about the work we are doing, but the school may have a different point of view. So it's important for us to have a discussion and put down all these points with the school that we are not your greening agency. We are there as an education partner for you. So accept these terms in the beginning, and therefore that clause of, bringing in some funds from your end also came in. That if a principal can fundraise for our program, she has or he has a full buy-in to the program. So that was one very funny experience that we had.
So like one learning would be that next time when a partner goes into a school for a partnership, the agreements are there, the expectations are clear and written maybe. Like I'm sure you must have had those expectations with the HM, the prince and the teachers before you started.
Yeah.
But now
that's what I'm saying. When we started out, that agreement was not with all the schools. The agreement was with the organization. In this case or in any other case, for example, SEF or XYZ. So our agreement would be with that organization, not with an individual school. But from there on, that was a learning. And we decided to have an agreement with each school, a clause with each school, what to expect, what not to expect, and just set the expectations right in the beginning. So yeah, that was our learning from there.
Suraj, you have anything to share?
I have quite a few, and so one was just building on what she said about education. This just is, again, physical education is almost seen as lesser than any other academic subjects. So one common challenge used to be, and you guys must have faced this, right? Teacher absenteeism is big, and we track the attendance of our fellows. So our fellows are usually there. Their attendance is very, very high. And at the same time, our PE periods are well thought through, well constructed, designed. But if another teacher is not there, the principal, they feel very comfortable, saying, take PT for 2 periods or two classes. The dynamic completely changes if there are 30 students on the ground or there are 70 students or 60 students on the ground. So one is not giving that, hey, this is a structured period. This actually has something. So let's kind of maintain the sanctity of that kind of classroom. Right? So that's kind of one. The second very common thing is exams are coming close by, unit tests are there. Some teacher has not finished her syllabus. Again, the first period to be yanked off is the PE period. And I have a very funny story about this, because before I kind of launched myself and pushed other youth to become fitness trainers, I got certified as a fitness trainer. I started coaching at a gym in Pune. And at the gym that I was coaching at, there were actually a lot of TFI alumni and many of these schools that would come and work out. And I would always argue with them because many of these TF teachers, they wanted their daily workout so that they could deal with the stress and everything. But they would also be at the school. They would be the first to probably take out a PT period to finish portions. So we're like, guys, we have to change this. But this is an attitudinal shift, and I think it'll take years. And that's why we are here. We call ourselves a social enterprise. That's the social impact work that we need to do. We have had agreements. One of the challenges we anticipate is poaching of our fellows, saying that, hey, why do you want to kind of do this long-term program with Cool Coach? Why don't you just come directly work with our school? That is something we have faced both at the school level, as well as, we create opportunities with our fellows with gyms and fitness centers. And it has happened to us where we've created internship opportunities for the youth, and the gym owners say that, listen, dude, stop all this fellowship, just come work for me directly. So there are these challenges that we have faced in the past.
Thank you for sharing. Since March, the lockdown has happened, COVID is here. Just wanted to again understand from both of you. So your work is mostly on farming Pragati in schools. And again, for Cool Coach as well, it's physical education inside the school. Now, since the schools have been shut down for such a long period of time, how are you maintaining those partnerships? Are they still happening in some way, and how do you see the effectiveness of if we had made a shift from obviously the schools are not happening? So I just wanted to understand what shifts you have made and how effective have you seen them for the last 5 to 6 months?
So I would say the shift has been there because Suraj and I both have been, our work is mostly on ground. So for us, the biggest challenge in the beginning was it's farm-based learning. So you need a farm and you need children at the farm. And both was not possible during lockdown. So in the beginning, we thought we might have to shut down operations for a period of 2 to 3 months because initially the lockdown was supposed to be there till July 31st. But then we realized that everything that we are doing on ground, it can be converted into small modules. And children can learn by doing small experiments at home. With government schools, the challenge was definitely data. Each house had one device, mostly phone, which children had access to occasionally. They did not have access to that phone or that device with internet connectivity and very, very limited internet. So the team came together and we decided to, first of all, convert each and everything that we were working with children on. For example, if we were talking about waste management, we were talking about soil, we were talking about insects, etc. How can all of that be compressed into a program which can be delivered online using experiments, simple experiments using material from home? For example, a plastic bottle which was going to be thrown into a dustbin, use that into a bird feeder. Use things like dal from your kitchen, soil from any planter outside, and a reusable plastic box to grow your own microgreens. And microgreens is something that's very, very high on nutrition. So when we created these modules on insects, microgreens, grow your own food, etc., everything was done. But then the problem was, how do you deliver? So we started recording ourselves. We recorded ourselves doing those programs, put them on YouTube, and then shared those links with all our students. So it has become like a content which can be delivered for a year. And So Good and that particular class has a WhatsApp group now. So, for example, if our school is Bhimnagari school, Bhimnagari class 4 So Good group. And every Saturday has become So Good Saturdays. So every Saturday we would send that video link and children will go through the link. There will be a homework attached. They will all create their experiments. They will do all of that and share it on the WhatsApp group. So it became a very, very beautiful sharing space. Everybody is sitting inside their house. They're not able to step out. They can't step out. And it's difficult for them to go and buy things from there. So the entire program has been developed in such a way that one, it's easily accessible to children. Not much of data is needed. They can download it anytime they want. And using all the material from home, they are experimenting, they are managing waste, etc. So that's how our last few months have been of COVID. And we are continuing with So Good Saturdays with all our schools.
And I can say that firsthand, like obviously you work with some of our schools and we keep getting feedback from children, from parents that how happy they are when they receive those materials because it keeps them engaged for the weekend and it's helping them personally as well. So yeah, thank you.
I'm so happy to hear that, Rahul.
Yeah.
That is indeed great to hear. Rahul, when kind of lockdown happened, we were going into summer vacation time in the cities we work in. And actually, our biggest concern was all the youth in our program, the fellows who were graduating, had all got their jobs. They were supposed to begin on April 1st, and they all lost their first jobs even before they could go there for day one. Because as you might know, gyms and fitness centers were asked to shut down even before the kind of national lockdown was announced.
Yeah.
So our initial efforts were creating kind of employment opportunities or income streams for these youth, and kind of we launched this kind of a direct to customer online training program which kind of employs our fellows alumni, which provides training to customers. So that was what we focused on, and that's kind of growing. Initially, we thought the schools would reopen in July, September, as we spoke to many folks in the education world. So we didn't focus on creating any programs that could be remotely delivered just because of the lack of space, the urban communities where many of the children that we work with stayed. We are in the process of launching a 12-week kind of remote fitness program, which is teaching children different habits around fitness and nutrition. So that will be launched at the end of the month. And this will be across the board, not just kind of relegated to the cities we worked in. Secondly, what we have done is we've just launched a pilot focused on sports players. And what in our experience, the students who are associated with some sports, whether it's football, whether it's kabaddi, whether it's cricket, are more attuned to take care of their fitness. So the idea is, the footballers sitting at home, who are itching for some kind of action, can be motivated and saying that, hey, while you wait for fields to open up, here is a program to work on your physical fitness. So we're launching that too. So if there are kind of teachers out there, if there are school principals out there with school teams, please get in touch with Cool Coach. We'll be happy to get you on board a very specialized sports-based fitness program for your sports teams. So those are the two things that we're working on.
Great. I think, yeah, so again, the times are difficult. And again, all of us have changed on how we operate. And it's great to hear from both of you how you've changed a little bit, but again, they're as effective as they were before COVID as well. Also, when we were talking earlier, Suraj, just changing a little bit, you said, again, a lot of times it happens is there are too many partners in a school and each partner is vying for time slots. So before we ended, I just wanted to get that point in as well, because I thought that was important.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm sorry. Yes. What is happening is there are many of us who are, and the challenge of education is complex, right? And many of us want to give a lot of exposure to the students. But at the end of the day, there is one school. And if one school, has a partner that's providing, let's say, cricket training, another that's providing football, there is some badminton championship, and then comes School Coach talking about fitness. And here I've talked about 4 partners, and that's just sports and fitness. There could be art, there could be poem, there could be coding. There are certain schools that are almost overburdened by so many partnerships. There is limited capacity for the school team to manage these partnerships. But more importantly, there is probably limited capacity for the students to deal with so many different things happening. We have almost taken a step back and we're talking about, hey, let's go to schools where probably there are less partnerships. So we get the opportunity to fully implement what we have set out to do. And we can give the full experience to the children too. So that there are no competing priorities beyond a certain point. I mean, again, just in tangible terms, the PE period is pretty ineffective if you have one PT period in 2 weeks. Even just two PT periods in a week can be pretty ineffective for us. So unless a school can commit, as I mentioned, to 3 PT periods a week, knowing that, hey, Cool Coach as a partner is going to push for 5 or 6 PT periods a week, it doesn't kind of make sense.
Yeah, like as an organization who have schools and who work with the government in running these schools, like that is one way of looking at it as well, like looking at what the vision of the school is and then looking for partners and not just taking in any partner as in when they come. And again, like in our schools as well, like we have partnerships for each grade. So we don't have like a partner for the whole school. If a grade 4 or 5 needs farming, and like all of their curriculum can also be mapped to farming. So again, that's what I think Pragati you also do.
Yeah, I think Rahul, so far our partnership with Simple Education Foundation has been very, very effective because of this reason, because you see the vision is aligned. And when we go to one of SEF schools, there is a very clear criteria that we want. Sorry, I think I muted myself. So I think that clarity of what you want to do along with children, which grade needs what kind of learning the most, that's extremely important. Because if I was to go with class 1 or 2, their physical strength and their academic integration, I mean, the program may not be able to do full justice to that class if we were to spend like 2 years with them. Whereas if we were working with a grade 4 or 5, and the overall development of the children through the program can be utilized much better. So I think that vision alignment when we are going to a particular school, that really makes a lot of difference. And like with your school, with SEF, how we have started working is going to meet the principal of the school even before deciding if we are going to work or not, and discussing it with them. This is what we do and this is what we can offer. And the principal and the teachers can also put down all the points very clearly. So I think deciding that like that makes it much better. And the point that Suraj has put across, if there is a school that has already multiple partners and you're saying, hey, you know what, we want at least one class a week. So the principal will say that, where do I fit that in? I mean, how do I even give that one class to you? So it doesn't do justice either to children or to us. So having that clarity, like even So Good programs are all integrated into timetable. So it can be Wednesdays at one school, Thursdays with another school, but it is integrated into their timetable. And I guess it's the same with you also, na Suraj. It has to be like, we need this much time to work with children for sure, for our program to have that kind of effectiveness.
Yes, it is. It has to be integrated in the timetable.
Okay, thank you guys. I think we have almost, the time is over. So just before we end this fabulous discussion, just want to again reiterate, like my learning from partnerships has been like what both of you have previously mentioned, that there has to be first buy-in from the school management, the principal, teachers, they need to really believe that they want this. And also it should be aligned to their whole vision for the child as well. Okay, if this is what they want for the children of the school, so we need to again go for that partner and not just taking in any partner. The success rate has gone up if we have followed these simple metrics and not just taken up any partner going forward. So yeah, thank you very much, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul.